A somewhat short notice matchup here in the women's strawweight division. Talita Alencar, she steps in on short notice when the original opponent for Stephanie Luciano pulled out. Luciano's been aware of this matchup the whole time, and Alencar is now short notice. So we're going to break this one down here. 4-0 on the entire career for Alencar, but that isn't her entire combat sports background. She did compete in grappling competitions, winning some championships along the way. Did a good job there. Great stuff. For Luciano, she's 4-1 in the last 5, only 6 fights in the career for her, so not a big skill gap or a big experience gap in MMA, that is. Luciano is going to be quite a bit taller at 5'5" as opposed to 5'1", but let's break this fight down, okay? So for Stephanie Luciano, she obviously has the more MMA experience, and it shows in that sense because she is a little bit more well-rounded. She does have good grappling, which, you know, she likes to push her opponents up against the cage. She likes to land some strikes from there, and she stays pretty busy. She's landing, you know, the body shots coming over the top of the head, and she's not just holding up there and then just doing, like, you know, a foot stomp here and there and just like a little pepper of shots. Now, she's keeping the volume going. When she does get the fight to the mat as well, that ground and pound is there, and she has pretty good ground and pound volume. But here's the problem for Luciano, specifically in this matchup, and I'm actually going to put a little note here. Right there. She's content to stay in her opponent's guard and land strikes. She get in the guard and start landing hammer fists and straight punches down like that. It's fine a lot of the time. Obviously, it's worked out for her so far. She's 5-1 in her career. But she's fighting somebody who's a very high-level grappler. I'm going to cover that in a minute. But she's content to stay in the opponent's guard, not pass, and then strike. So if she does get the takedown here, not sure that's the best spot for her. But, hey, either way. In the striking, she should have a slight edge just for the fact that Alencar isn't a striker whatsoever. She does have decent volume. She's going to come forward with her pressure, but she doesn't really have much polish on those strikes, but she's going to come forward with volume and pressure, okay? On the other side, for Alencar, she's a very fast starter. And she really just wants to get this fight to the mat. That's what her goal is, okay? For Alencar, she's got strong Brazilian jiu-jitsu. If she gets on top, her pressure is phenomenal. She does a good job with that. She's going to work to advance position, and she's going to use ground and pound a little bit more than a lot of those jiu-jitsu specialists do. In fact, her ground and pound is so good, in fact, that a lot of times she'll take the back simply because her opponents are tired of eating those big, heavy shots and just turn over and give her that for the rear naked choke, or she'll flatten them out and just start landing shots and then eventually get the choke, as how it goes. She's very much a position over submission fighter, even though eventually she will get that submission as it goes on. But like I said, that's a lot of times because opponents are just tired of eating that ground and pound and they just give up their back and let her lock in the rear naked choke. It's more of they've given her the submission than she went out and fought for it. She went out and snuck in a hold. She more just takes it because they are giving it up after they're tired of getting beat up. But yeah, she's very positionally sound. She does have only like so-so takedowns, but she's physically strong enough that a lot of times she can muscle her opponents to the mat if she can get into range, which we've got an opponent here that's going to come forward. She's going to come forward, and she's going to also try to cage push. I think she's going to be able to get into range, no problem. Her striking, on the other hand, is not very good. She has bad striking defense as well. It's just abysmal, but she's durable. I've seen her eat shots and just not care. She does a good job with that, which I guess really isn't a skill. She's just born with durability, I guess, but she's physically strong, can eat those shots. And I think she's going to need to here. And I don't think there's a ton of power coming back at her from the Luciano side. So if she is able to eat these shots for however long it takes to get the fight to the mat, that's where she's going to be in her game. But if she can't get this to the mat, she's going to be a punching bag for probably 3 rounds, just eating shots and hanging in there. She does have decent kicks at range, but I don't think we're going to get a lot of fighting at range in this particular matchup. So if it stays on the feet, Luciano's got a shot, but I think she's going to play right into the game of Alencar, who is the far superior grappler. Luciano, we've seen it in her matchups where she comes forward, she just throws that volume, gets into the cage push, does her thing there, and then if she eventually gets the takedown, she ends up in guard and lands strikes from there. It's not a good spot for her. I think that Luciano is probably the more well-rounded mixed martial artist, but this is a bad matchup stylistically for her with the way that she fights. Alencar should be able to get it done. So for me, the pick is Alencar. Let me know who you have. Like this video on your way out, and I'll see you in the next Dana White's Contender Series Breakdown.